Part 37. Dimensional Chosen, Only I Know Saitama is the Strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 361. No problem at all. Shumanzi answered almost without hesitation. Now Fangye felt a little surprised. You just agreed. Fangye felt weird instinctively, but he quickly calmed down. If she was really the person sent by the organization to contact him, she would definitely stay. It seems that the suspicion is deeper. Of course, Master, I believe in you very much. Shumanzi answered without hesitation, with a smile on her face that was determined to win. She believed that a beautiful woman like herself was much better than that girl Suzuki-Yu. When the time comes, she could mix with Fangye and get Fangye. Wasn't she so attracted by her that she soared into the sky? Even if Fangye is still a poor boy now, he will definitely become famous in the future. He is the owner of 6 golden legends. If they get married by then. Shumanzi is having a sweet dream. Even the eyes she looked at Fangye were shy and expectant. Just seeing Fangye's frown, Shumanzi immediately realized that the silence was too long. She wanted to take the initiative, just the topic. Master, what do you think we should do now? Shumanzi asked with some excitement the great god in front of him who had been longing for a long time. If there is really someone who can solve the dilemma that everyone is trapped in now, it must be the person in front of him. Shumanzi believes so much. What to do? Fangye couldn't help but want to laugh, but he was also a little helpless. Isn't it him who asked this? What exactly do their god agents want? Fangye can't understand. I'm more curious as to why this place suddenly stopped. He gave a crazy hint, hoping that Shumanzi would understand and then directly attack him with a knife. Unfortunately, he couldn't wait for the scene he wanted. Instead, Shumanzi became even more excited and kept attacking him. Asking this and that, especially asking him overtly and covertly if he had a solution to the problem. Just doing this made Fangye very speechless, and he wanted to talk to Shumanzi even more. I have a solution, but... Fangye glanced at the people around him and looked apprehensive. I hope Shumanzi will immediately remember what he did to the man just now. And he already knows her identity, so stop acting like this. Ah, I see. Shumanzi suddenly showed a look of enlightenment and said with a smile. Master, you must be worried that you will unknowingly hurt the people around you, right? You are such a gentle person. Ah. Gentle. Fangye thought he had heard wrong and asked suspiciously. Although he may be such a person in ordinary times, in the eyes of the agents of the gods, he should be the most terrifying killer, right? Fangye now he finally looked at Shumanzi seriously, and began to doubt his own judgment. After all, even people from well-hidden organizations would show up with a lot of murderous intent during an exchange with him. Fangye was very concerned about murderous intent. But he is extremely sensitive. Shumanzi did not show any murderous intention at all, and there were many other inexplicable feelings. Although it was not murderous intention, to be honest. Fangye didn't like this feeling. Even if he didn't know what Shumanzi was thinking, and Fangye also knew that it was definitely not a good thing. This was also the reason why he was lukewarm towards beautiful women like Shumanzi. If it weren't for the fact that Shumanzi had a louder voice when calling out his identity. It was small and did not attract the attention of others. Otherwise, Fangye would regard it as a provocation to him and kill Shumanzi on the spot. But now it seems that although Shumanzi has his own little thoughts, he is not from that organization. Generally speaking, Fangye is quite tolerant towards beauties outside of the Agent of God's organization. No matter what her little thoughts are, Fangye doesn't pay much attention to them. God, is there anything you can do? Having been treated like this by Fangye, Shumanzi, a beauty who has always had everything going smoothly, also felt very unhappy. Even the excitement and admiration for seeing Fangye gradually faded away, and she couldn't help but say irritatingly. In Schumanzi's mind, as long as she stimulated men with such a skeptical tone, these men would immediately become enthusiastic and do what she wanted them to do. However, what surprised Schumanzi was that Fanya was very casual. Responded, "Yeah, I haven't found a way yet." Ah! Schumanzi was also stunned. She didn't expect to hear such a sentence at all. Seeing Fanya's calm look, she thought he already had a solution. "If you're going to say something sarcastic again, say it to someone else," Fanya said without mercy, then turned around to observe in another place. What? Schumanzi was shocked. The beautiful encounter in her heart, chasing Fanya in a few words, relying on him to create a golden legend for her? Fanya actually has no feelings for her? No, saying that he doesn't feel anything is giving himself too much face. Fanya was simply defensive towards her with a little disgust. When she first came here, Fanya was not like this. I don't know why, but after saying a few words, Fanya became more and more repelled by her. Schumanzi thinks he hasn't said anything to make him unhappy, right? Unless it's the sentence just now. "Master, are you angry because of what I just said?" Schumanzi suppressed the uneasiness in his heart, smiled and chased after Fanya, not far away, and said playfully, trying to ease the uneasiness in his heart. "No," Fanya said very casually, while scanning the crowd. Of course he saw the man who had just broken his hand and was being treated with sweat. But Fanya had no intention of continuing to cause trouble for him for the time being. What he had to do was to find out who was in contact with this man. Then spread his ashes directly in another dimension. After Fanya had determined that Schumanzi was not an agent of the gods, he quickly told Schumanzi. Manzi temporarily lost interest. Schumanzi bit his lip and said with a cry, "What's wrong? Aren't you happy chatting with me?" "Not for this reason yet." Fanya's voice was very calm, even with a little smile. But when he heard these words, Schumanzi was shocked and subconsciously stopped. "What did you say?" Schumanzi's voice was too loud, which attracted the attention of many people. "Don't bother me yet, if you still want to get out of here," Fanya said softly, scanning the people in front of him vaguely. As he walked and observed, he had already memorized the facial features of most of the people present. There is no doubt that the guys from Agent of God are in this alien space just like them. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 362. It's just that Fanya looked for a long time and couldn't find the right person. Perhaps these professional killers will have their own concealment methods, but their target is him and they will always focus on him. At that time, it is time for Fanya to catch the other party. When he thought of this, his mood even improved a little, and he finally had time to understand the followers who were following him silently. "I said, why have you been following me?" Fanya turned his head and asked very curiously. Schumanzi, who originally stayed not far behind Fanya and acted as a transparent person, was stunned when he heard this question. "Master, didn't you agree to take me with you?" Schumann played with the tail of his hair covertly and said with twinkling eyes. "I don't remember promising you," Fanya said doubtfully. "Didn't you deny it?" "Not denying it means acquiescing, right?" Schumanzi said with a smile, seeming to have returned to the image of a fan who was a little excited to see his idol. Fanya sighed. If he was usually in the forbidden area, he wouldn't mind playing with him to understand Schumanzi's true intentions. But now everyone is trapped in an alien space. Although he doesn't understand why there is air here, Fanya is already prepared for the lack of air. If the God agent removes the air in the alien space, if they can all be taken away, then even he is helpless. Even if they can't take away the air, what about the water? What about the food? Maybe some people will bring emergency dry food and water, but this kind of supplies will always be used up. We will be counting. If thousands of people are trapped here for 3 months, I'm afraid some irrational people will start to devour their own kind. Fang Ye doesn't want to face this situation, he must get out as quickly as possible. Qi Zi changes, the agent of the gods. The people have been hiding in the group and watching him. Only 1,000 days can be a thief, how can 1,000 days guard against thieves? Originally, Fang Ye entered the 9th restricted area just to see if there was any chance to solve this matter. Unexpectedly, this organization was bound to win against him and blocked him directly outside the penalty area. For this decisiveness, Fang Ye had to praise him as awesome. If he continued to block him for a few days, he would really have to do something. Seeing that Fang Ye really didn't say anything, Shu Manzi's eyes lit up and he quietly moved closer to him with a smile. Tisk, what on earth do you want to do? Fang Ye frowned and looked back at Shu Manzi impatiently and asked. You should know that I still have something to do, right? He really can't understand. He obviously keeps a low profile, and the other person is not an agent of the gods, so why are you still pestering him like this? Can't I follow you? I won't disturb you, I just want to appreciate your heroic appearance in breaking through the situation. Shumanza said pitifully, but while speaking, she also unconsciously observed the crowd around her. Who is Fang Ye looking for? She is a very smart woman, and Fang Ye did not hide it. Shumanzi he knew Fang Ye's intention almost immediately. Especially looking at his vague and heavy look, the person he wanted to find was probably his enemy. When he thought of this, Shumanzi was so excited that he trembled all over. Master, can I ask who you are looking for? Maybe I can help. Shumanzi tentatively made suggestions. Help? Fang Ye turned around, looked at her with an unclear expression and asked, do you know who I'm looking for? That's not something you can be a part of. He already has a life and death relationship with the god's agent, and Fang Ye doesn't want to drag other people into the water. Although Shumanzi always has a feeling that he has some plot against him, Fang Ye doesn't have any intuition about it. He thought she had some connection with the organization. When Fang Ye was seriously warning Shumanzi, he suddenly caught a glimpse of a dark figure out of the corner of his eye. It was a guy in a black robe. Because he was not tall, he moved quietly among the crowd. Fang Ye really couldn't find him for a while. But when he was talking to Shumanzi just now, the crowd around him exposed him in the commotion, and he seemed to be thinking about something, and he didn't notice it at all. The situation around him. Fang Ye's expression condensed. Got you. He clenched his fists suddenly and rushed towards the man in black robe while sneering. The excessive speed caused a sonic boom in the air. Shumanzi took several steps back in fright before calming down. Looking for Fang Ye's location. The man in black robe also heard Fang Ye's voice. He was just about to retreat into the crowd, but suddenly he had a creepy feeling that he was being targeted, and he could only roll to avoid it. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw huge flames fell from the sky. There was a loud bang, and the alien space seemed to be shaken by the power of this punch. Huge smoke rose into the sky. The crowd screamed in panic and fled in all directions. However, the alien space is only so big, and it can still. Where are they running to? They can only hide in a corner as far away from the smoke as possible and look at Fang Ye in fear. Finally, let me find you, the guy in black robe. Fang Ye's fists were burning with flames like the sun, and even his eyes seemed to have flames beating. After entering the alien space, he quietly turned on the hegemony of seeing and hearing, and listened to the voices of everyone present. It's just that the voices of thousands of people were so noisy that he couldn't tell where the agents of the gods were for a moment, so he could only wander among the crowd. At the same time, he shortened the scope of his sight and hearing, and only listened to the voices of the people around him. The hard work paid off, and he finally found the guy who lurked in. Ahem, ha ha ha, he really deserves to be a legendary god. In the smoke, The man in black robe coughed violently twice and said with a sneer. You were able to discover my existence. It seems that you obtained something very good in the previous forbidden area. Is it a skill or a supernatural talent? The man in black robe even had the time to ask these questions, as if he didn't care about his own life or death. You don't need to know this. Fang Ye clenched his fists and whispered. Anyway, in the end, my ashes will be raised. The flames soared instantly, causing fierce friction in the alien space. Fang Ye flew above the black-robed man in the blink of an eye, and the flames wrapped his fist and was about to hit him. At this moment, the black-robed man, a circular hole suddenly opened below. The blue sky and white clouds in the hole all proved that the forbidden area was below. Fang Ye was stunned, and the next second he saw the figure of the man in black robe falling backwards, falling directly into the entrance of the cave and disappearing. Under the inertia, he rushed through the entrance of the cave almost instantly and entered the real 9th place. Restricted area. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 363. A white light flashed in front of his eyes. After Fang Ye came back to his senses, he suddenly retracted the flames on his hands and slowly fell to the ground. The man in black robe has disappeared and was randomly teleported to somewhere. Even he himself doesn't know what this forbidden area is like for the time being. But he soon noticed something strange in the distance, so he stood up and narrowed his eyes. The telekinesis skill was activated, and under the effect of condensation, he immediately saw the black-haired girl sheathing the knife, and the orange-haired boy standing behind the girl. Oh! It turned out to be the god of death. Fang Ye couldn't help laughing. He looked down at his own clothes. The clothes that were almost the same as Kurosaki Ichigo made him realize his identity. He always felt that things were getting interesting. He did not immediately go up and talk to Kurosaki. Ichigo planned to communicate, but instead slowly walked forward with the flow of people in the same school uniform. The power of the Shinigami world is very special, and completely different from the past. This really involves the power of life and death, reincarnation and eternal life. In Fang there is still a small guess in Fang Ye's mind. This 9th forbidden area seems to be one of the forbidden areas where the agent of the gods controls the alien space. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Fang Ye to understand how they closed the alien space. A different dimension, leaving thousands of them there. But this is just mastering the passage to a different dimension. Although it is roughly equivalent to controlling the Forbidden Land, in fact, if you have to say that you have gained something in the Forbidden Land, it is estimated that there won't be many. People with psychic vision are very rare, not to mention encountering the limited opening where the male and female protagonists meet, it is simply too impossible. Just in Karakura Town, I'm afraid there won't be much gain. The real gains can only be obtained in Soul Society. Kurosaki Ichigo was bored talking to his childhood sweetheart, but for some reason, she was particularly excited today. One household, have you heard about it? There is a transfer student who is going to study in our school. He seems to be a handsome guy. Inu Orihime excitedly shared the gossip she just learned with him. Aha! What does a handsome guy have to do with me? If she is a beautiful girl, just call me. Kurosaki Ichigo was still thinking about meeting the girl in black in the morning, and didn't care at all about Inu Orihime's words. Fortunately, Inu Orihime didn't care much, and instead turned around to continue communicating with other girls in the class. Hanako said that she had peeked at the boy's appearance. He was very handsome. I don't know which class he is in. It would be great if he is in our class. Yes, a transfer student, he sounds very mysterious. I wonder what kind of person he will be. The class bell rang, and the head teacher Okamayu walked into the classroom following the bell. Classmates, Before class begins, the teacher has a new classmate to introduce to you. When Fang Ye stepped into the class, he saw Kurosaki Ichigo as expected. He didn't show any special expression, but introduced himself calmly. My name is Fang Ye, and I am an international student from China. The handsome appearance, gentle conversation, and the mysterious identity of the foreign student directly aroused the love of the girls in the classroom. But Ye Fei didn't care about their expressions. He didn't really come to school to experience neon campus love, he came here to observe Kurosaki Ichigo and prepare for entering Seoul society at any time. However, Kurosaki Ichigo himself obviously does not have that consciousness, and has no idea how much trouble he will cause in the future. Looking at the other party's current lazy appearance, Fang Ye smiled knowingly. After tonight, boy, your happy life will be gone forever. But at that time, I am afraid that the agent of the gods will reveal his true purpose. He doesn't believe that this person controls the entry methods of several restricted areas. The organization will not covet the things inside. But unlike other worlds, the world of death appears to take place in Karakura Town in the real world, but in fact the real story takes place in the virtual world below Karakura Town. Soul World. The agent of the gods is now full of murderous intent towards him. Perhaps they even think that they have already secured the victory and want to take advantage of him. After all, he is a great god who can generate golden legends several times in a row. Even if they want to kill him, they still have to kill him. Use him before killing him so that he can successfully explore the situation in this forbidden area and get the reward. I guess they want to know more about how Fang Ye was able to pass through the forbidden area unscathed and get the huge reward, right? But it's a pity that they can't do this no matter what. What's more, in Fang Ye's heart, he and that organization have long been in a life and death relationship. One of the two parties must completely die. This kind of hatred it will not be passed down. When he thought of the ashes that would be flying all over the sky like snowflakes in the future, Fang Ye shook his head. Student Fang, what's wrong with you? As a table mate, Inu Orium noticed that Fang Ye seemed to be distracted, and he was still a little confused. But when he saw that the other person's table was empty, and then recalled that he didn't have a bag in his hand when he came in, Inu Orium suddenly realized. The textbooks haven't been distributed yet, right? Let's watch it together. As she said that, she dragged the table over, put it together with Fang Ye's, and moved the textbook a little closer to him. Instantly, Fang Ye felt a strong gaze. The glare from Kurosaki Ichigo. Fang Ye's the corners of his mouth curled up a little again. This world is really interesting. After school, Fang Ye disappeared without saying a word. Suddenly, the girls in the class complained. After making sure that there was no trace of him, they left unwillingly. Fang Ye has arrived on the rooftop. He stood on the rooftop and looked around the entire Karakura town, taking a deep breath. The aura of knowledge and hearing that listened to the sounds of all things spread from his surroundings and spread to every corner of the city. Enter together. The thousands of people in the forbidden area looked like a lot, but placed in a city, they were as inconspicuous as water droplets flowing into the stream. Fang Ye ignored the others at all. But the man in black robe must be found. Not only did he want to know the plan of the agent of God from the other party's mouth, but he also wanted to spread it to that guy. You must have integrity as a person. If you say that your ashes will be raised, you must do it. However, as soon as the domineering power of seeing and hearing dissipated, then I met a person. He frowned and opened his eyes, extremely confused. Shumanzi. I didn't expect that the first person I found would be her, but why is she in school? The commotion I caused today was big enough, and she didn't take the initiative to come to me. She really had her own plans. Or maybe, I guessed correctly before, that Shumanzi is the agent of the gods, and he is just having overt and covert activities with the man in black robe. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 364. Some thoughts flashed through Fang Ye's mind. He narrowed his eyes and looked down at the two figures walking out of the teaching building. Shu Manzi, who had just left the teaching building, didn't know that someone was watching her upstairs. She was actually a little confused now, but she still showed off her acting skills and the arrogance and humility in front of her. She is now the new intern music teacher in this school. Shumanzi doesn't know why this is happening. After such a day, she doesn't feel anything is wrong. This forbidden area seems different from the others. Why does it look like a safe and peaceful high school life? Is the gap between this and before a bit too big? Shumanzi's confusion was taken by the principal in front of him as being unaccustomed to the new environment. He was about to help the trainee female teacher get used to the new environment with a smile. There was no one around, but right before him the moment I had this idea. The sky darkened. The principal thought it was dark clouds blocking the sun, but at the same time, he saw Shumanzi beside him looking up at the same time, and then a stunned expression appeared on that beautiful and enchanting face. What's on it? The principal felt his eyes darken. Before losing consciousness, he only heard the sound of something being crushed. Fang Ye jumped down from the building. As he landed, he adjusted his posture casually and stepped directly on the principal's forehead. He instantly rolled his eyes and lost consciousness. After landing lightly, he raised his foot again and stepped between the principal's legs. In an instant, there was a heartbreaking sound of chickens flying and eggs beating at his feet. Even a beauty like Shumanzi subconsciously clamped her legs together when she saw Fang Ye's actions, with a look of pain on her face. Hey, do you have a place to stay tonight? After Fang Ye handled everything easily, he turned around and asked with a smile. Ah. Shumanzi waited attentively, thinking that Fang Ye would say something important. However, after he said these words, Shumanzi was dumbfounded. She didn't know where to live. But soon, Shumanzi sounded something. Master, I was afraid that I might need money when I entered the forbidden area, so I brought a gold bar with me. Shumanzi took out a yellow-orange gold bar from somewhere. Looking at her face full of begging for praise, Fang Ye wanted to laugh even more. Well, good job. Fang Ye touched her little head and praised her. Unexpectedly, he just complimented her casually, and Shumanzi turned red and became silent. What Shumanzi didn't understand was that Fang Ye, instead of cashing in the gold bar, he led her around and around to a store. Fang Ye told her to stay at the door and pay attention to whether anyone was coming and going, and then he went in mysteriously. Shu Manzi was bored waiting, so he could only raise his head and look at the store, and subconsciously read aloud. Original, store. As soon as Fang Ye entered the store, he heard a lazy voice saying welcome. Hearing this voice, Fang Ye looked over with determination. Sure enough, he saw a very important figure in the early stage of death, Urahara Kisuke. Oh, it's a strange guest. What do you need? Urahara Kisuke lowered his green and white fisherman's hat and observed Fang Ye in front of him calmly. But the more he looked, the more frightened he became. Over the years, even when he was exiled to the living world, he was still closely observing, paying attention to the situation in Seoul society. He dared to guarantee with his own life that there is absolutely no such extremely powerful person in Seoul society. This is the first time Urahara Kisuke has faced a person, and he feels that he is unable to face the enemy. The last time I felt like this was when I faced Yamamoto Genri Yusai Shijikuni, the captain of the Godi 13th Division. Such a powerful person will definitely not be unknown. And he doesn't look like a god of death. Could it be that he is a god of death? Is it, a Quincy? Don't think too much, I am a Taoist priest from Xia Kingdom. Fang Ye also felt the vague malice of Urahara Kisuke, and instantly realized what this guy was thinking, so he said helplessly. Plus. How could he be one of those weak and incompetent Quincy guys? Taoist priest? Appreciate further details. Urahara Kisuk pretended to be listening attentively and looked at him with interest. Of course, Fang Ye couldn't really be a Taoist priest, he was just packaging his talents and skills. For example, as long as he turned white eyes that can clearly see the meridians of the human body and see very far away, an almost invincible G-Deo celestial demon body that can use the power of monsters, a powerful ability to control flames and telekinesis. Fang Ye didn't have to waste much effort to gain the trust of Urahara Kisuk. In fact, Fang Ye himself doesn't really believe this. After experiencing the frame-up by Aizen Sosuke, Urahara Kisuk went through a narrow escape before hiding in the world. Such a guy with a very high IQ and experienced betrayal, will he really believe his one-sided words? Fang Ye doesn't know, but he doesn't care, as long as he can get along with Urahara Kisuk on the surface. He also wants to dig a hole for the god agent, Urahara Kisuk. Smart people will definitely be able to help him. Compared to Fang Ye's calculations, Urahara Kisuk's thoughts are much simpler. Over the years, he has been paying attention to Soul Society and the Karakura town in this world, and occasionally he can see the void. It's not easy to be in the circle. I didn't expect that there are such powerful people in foreign countries in this world. The Taoist priests of the Xia Kingdom, just thinking about it makes people yearn for it. If you don't have to keep an eye on Aizen Sosuke, guardian as for Bengaio, Urahara Kisuk also wanted to go outside and take a look. But now the one in front of him was enough for him to study. The two foxes with their own hidden agendas looked at each other and smiled, saying nothing. Shuman looked at it. She had been staring at a black cat on the roof of the shop opposite for a long time. She didn't know what Fang Ye was doing inside, but she was not that curious. It's cute for girls to ask small questions, but if it's something important, if you don't know the seriousness of things by asking back and forth, you will get bored. Suddenly, her ears twitched and she heard something, so she immediately listened attentively. Oops, since Mr. Fang is from Xia, does he need a guide? There is a very suitable girl in our store. A strange man's voice sounded, from far to near. No, we have things to do here and are not in the mood for sightseeing at the moment. Fang Ye said softly with a smile and opened the door at the same time. He was stunned for a moment, looking at Shumanzi who was standing at the door board. Master, you won't tell me that you forgot that I'm still outside, right? Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 365. Looking at Shumanzi's slightly complaining eyes, Fang Ye naturally wouldn't say that he had really forgotten that Shumanzi was still outside. How could be? Fang Ye said duplicitously. That would be great. If God really forgets me here, then I will be very sad. Shumanzi said, patting her chest. She actually didn't mind being left out by Fang Ye just now. She just said this just to make Fang Ye feel a little guilty. In fact, as long as Fang Ye can lead her to get a golden evaluation in this forbidden place, beyond that Suzuki-u, she was willing to do whatever he asked her to do. Even if he asked her to do something unspeakable, she was willing to do it. Thinking of this, Shumanzi looked at Fang Ye's handsome face and bit his lip slightly, unable to help but feel a smile on his face. Two blushes appear. Who is this? Urahara Kisuk looked at Shumanzi and said with a little doubt. Oh, at this time, my friend came to visit Mr. Urahara. I see, then I wonder what Mr. Fang wants to do here. Urahara Kisuk asked doubtfully. It's very simple. I want to inquire about a person with Mr. Urahara. That person is very dangerous, and I came here to track him down. Oh? Mr. Fang can talk about it in detail. If I know, I can tell you everything I know. Urahara Kisuk raised his eyebrows and said. To be honest, he was surprised that such a powerful Mr. Fang could talk about danger, So this person is probably not an easy person. What is the purpose of such a powerful person coming here? Could it be for Lan? Is Sumiso Yozuk or Bengayo coming? Thinking of this, Urahara Kisuk couldn't help but feel nervous. He is short, wearing a black robe and mask, and has coffin-like tattoos on his arms. This man comes from a mysterious organization, and I came here to track down his whereabouts. I know Mr. Urahara is well informed, so I came to ask. Fang Ye said calmly. He did not tell Urahara the true identity of the man in black robes. He just said that he was a mysterious organization and very dangerous. After all, it was also the first time that he and Urahara Kisuk met. If they met, he would tell everything. Then it was Urahara Kisuk who was confused and wondered if this was a trap for him. So Fang Ye deliberately did not tell the true identity of the black-robed man, which would make Urahara Kisuk feel that he was really asking about the whereabouts of the black-robed man. So that's it? Although Urahara Kisuk also had a lot of doubts when facing this mysterious Mr. Fang, he could see that Mr. Fang had no ill intentions towards him. He also understood that Fang Ye had not said a lot of information about the man in black robe, but he could put himself in his shoes. He can also understand. I understand, but I'm sorry, I didn't find this man in black robe. If I have my whereabouts, I will notify you as soon as possible, okay? Urahara Kisuk touched his chin and said with a smile. Of course this is perfect. Fang Ye also smiled slightly. Urahara Kisuk is very powerful and has broad connections. If he is asked to come to the man in black robe, he will get twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, Urahara Kisuk is also a key role in the Shinigami world and even has a way to enter the Soul Society. So it is naturally very useful to have a good relationship with him. What's more, the purpose of coming here is not just this. Hello. Mr. Urahara. A beautiful black-haired girl with short curly hair and a petite figure walked towards Urahara Kisuk and said hello. Oh, it's Rukia. What do you want to buy when you come to my place today? Urahara Kisuk said happily. Oh, buy some commonly used things. Hey, you have a guest. This is. The beautiful girl looked at Fang Ye and said doubtfully. Hello, I am Fang Ye, a Taoist priest from the east. Fang Ye said with a smile. The person in front of him is Rukia Kukaki, the heroine of the death god world. Kurosaki Ichigo obtained the power of death from her. It can be said that if you want to obtain the golden legend in this world, then the plot is probably about Ichigo Kurosaki or Rukia Kukaki. And he came to Urahara's store, on the one hand, to find out the whereabouts of the man in black robe, and on the other hand, for Rukia Kukaki. Now Kurosaki Ichigo Kurosaki did not gain the power of death. It is estimated that within these few days, Rukia Kukaki chased Kin and entered Kurosaki Ichigo's room, thus allowing Ichigo Kurosaki to obtain the power of death. This is a very key point. Even the beginning of the plot of the death god world. If the man in black robe will appear, then he will definitely appear at that time. So finding Rukia Kukaki first, then observing secretly, and waiting for the man in black robe is the best strategy. Shimanza looked at Rukia Kukaki angrily. It was obvious that she was a very beautiful girl. She clearly felt that all the attention at the scene was on Rukia Kukaki, even the great god was no exception. Damn it! She also knows that she is very weak. If she wants a great god to help her, she can only rely on her beauty. And she has full confidence in her own beauty. She believes that as long as it lasts long enough, the great god will definitely bow to her. Under the pomegranate skirt. But the beauty of Rukia Kukaki did not belong to her, so she had a strong sense of crisis. And she also felt that almost all of the great god's attention was on Rukia Kukaki. If things continued like this, I'm afraid the great god will no longer be interested in her. No. These things must not happen. So she subconsciously held Fang Ye's arm, and then pressed against her tightly. The warm touch on his arm made Fang Ye a little confused, and then he understood. Is it a subconscious reaction caused by a crisis? Fang Ye shook his head in a funny way. Although he was not interested in Shumanzi next to him, having a beautiful woman by his side was also very eye-catching. So naturally he didn't care. It's getting late, Mr. Urahara, it's time for me to leave. If you know his whereabouts, please let me know in advance. Fang Ye said. Of course, but I don't know where you live, how should I inform you? Urahara Kisuk said doubtfully. I will send someone over with my address later. After saying that, Fang Ye turned around and left. Looking at Fang Ye's back, Kukaki Rukia was a little confused. She turned her head and frowned slightly and asked Mr. Urahara, who is this person? I can feel a powerful force inside him. Frankly speaking, I don't know, but I know one thing. You must never be an enemy to such a person, you can only be a friend. By the way, is the whereabouts of the person I asked you to track down? Urahara Kisuk turned around and asked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 366. I have found his traces so far, and I believe I can find him tonight. Kukaki Rukia said. Well, you have to be careful, there's something unusual about that hollow. Don't worry, no matter how strong Su is, he is no match for me. Kukaki Rukia said confidently. That's good. Urahara Kisuk nodded. Kukaki Rukia is the holder of Sode Shirayuki, known as the most beautiful Zanpakuto. If she goes after the hollow, there will be no problem. God, where are we going? Shumanzi said doubtfully. Since she followed Fang Ye out, she saw Fang Ye wandering around without any intention of stopping. Find a place to rest. Fang Yan said concisely and comprehensively. A place to rest. Shumanzi was a little confused. She found many hotels along the way, but she saw that Fang Ye was indifferent, as if she hadn't seen him. She now had no idea what Fang Ye wanted to do first. Fang Ye glanced at it. Shumanzi, seeing her confused look, secretly laughed in his heart. Although Shumanzi came from a big family, her vision and knowledge were naturally extraordinary, but she didn't know the plot of the world of death, so she naturally didn't know what he wanted to do. And Fang Ye has read the comics and animations of death countless times in his previous life. Naturally, he knows all the plots well, so he can naturally arrange his plans calmly. Found it? Fang Ye looked at a house and nodded secretly. This is the home of Kurosaki Ichigo. Fang Ye actually didn't know when Kurosaki Ichigo gained the power of death, so he was prepared to wait and see. Guarding near Kurosaki Ichigo's house. As long as Kukaki Rukia appears, he will naturally be able to discover it immediately. If the man in black robe appears, he can quickly deal with it. Fang Ye looked around, but seeing that there was a house diagonally opposite Kurosaki Ichigo's house, he walked straight over, and Shumanzi had to follow quickly. You are. Two old people lived in this house. When they saw Fang Ye walking towards them with Shumanzi, they couldn't help but feel doubtful. Hello, two old people. We are tourists. Because the scenery here is very good, we would like to stay here for a few nights. Is it okay? Then Fang Ye added, of course, we will definitely pay the room fee. He winked at Shumanzi, and Shumanzi understood instantly. She had no choice but to take out the gold bar and hand it to the two old people. I really don't know what the great God is thinking, if you can't stay in a good hotel, why come to this shabby place? Shumanzi complained in her heart, but she didn't dare to show it for fear of angering the great God. No, no, we can't accept this thing, it's too expensive. And I'm sorry, We only have one vacant room in our house, and there are some problems with that house, so we can't rent it to you. The old woman's eyes lit up when she saw the gold bar, but she immediately shook her head and rejected Fang Ye. Oh? Has a problem? Can you tell us about it? Fang Ye said curiously. Feel sorry. Our house is not for rent. Find another place. The old man said, his tone was very tough, and he said a little impatiently. That's right. Fang Ye smiled. On the one hand, he felt that the location of this room was indeed very good. He could have an unobstructed view of Kurosaki Ichigo's home from the second floor. On the other hand, he felt that this room was very strange and had an indescribable feeling. That's why he stepped forward to test it out. This old man had such a determined attitude, he must have an ulterior secret, which also successfully aroused Fang Ye's curiosity. Grandpa, I really want to stay here for a few nights. We are travelers from afar. You will not refuse my request, right? Fang Ye took the gold bar from Shu Manzi's hand and gently placed it on the old man's hand. This. The old man only felt that Fang Ye's eyes radiated a light, which attracted him instantly. He only felt that what Fang Ye said just now made sense, and he had no conditions to refuse it. All right. The room on the far left on the second floor is rented to you, but you must know that the door to the innermost room must not be opened. You must remember this. The old man warned. Rest assured. Fang Ye, who withdrew his telekinesis, showed his teeth and smiled. He just used telekinesis to slightly change the old man's thoughts. Although it was the first time he used telekinesis like this, the effect was surprisingly good. Why? Shu Manzi was a little confused. She clearly saw that the old man's attitude was very firm just now. She didn't expect Fang Ye to change his mind with just one sentence. This had to surprise her. Come catch up. Fang Ye looked back at Shu Manzi, who was still stunned, and said. Shu Manzi came back to his senses and hurriedly followed. She became even more curious about Fang Ye. Fang Ye went up to the second floor and slowly walked to the room on the far left, but he did not open the door, but looked at the innermost room. The light here was very dim, and it became darker as he went inside. Fang Ye frowned slightly, he clearly felt there is a person in the innermost room, a very powerful person. But he is not the man in black robes he is looking for. The two have completely different auras. Who is it? I remember that there seems to be no record of this in comics and animation. Is it a hidden role? For a moment, Fang Ye couldn't decide to pay attention. He thought for a long time and decided to wait and see what happened. Moreover, Fang Ye believed that the people here should also be aware of him, and this person might also be here for Kurosaki Ichigo. Otherwise, I wouldn't live in this place. The most important thing now is that Kurosaki Ichigo has obtained the power of death, and he doesn't want to cause trouble and cause accidents. But if the people here want to stop Kurosaki Ichigo, then he won't just stand by and watch, and they will naturally stop you when the time comes. It is better for such a powerful person to be under his nose. Fang Ye thought to himself. He opened the door on the far left of the corridor and walked in. Shu Manzi also walked in, but she looked around and her expression changed. Only one bed. Fang Ye sat on the bed with a half smile, looked at Shu Manzi and said, What, do you mind? Shu Manzi gritted his teeth and forced himself to calm down. How could it be? Damn. I must achieve the Golden Legend achievement this time. No matter what, I can't let that girl Suzuki pressure me. And aren't I mentally prepared to sacrifice myself? Shu Manzi encouraged himself in his heart. She gritted her teeth and walked towards Fang Ye and sat next to Fang Ye. I'm ready. Shu Manzi bit his teeth and said with a trembling voice. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Bean Garden. Chapter 367. Okay, if you feel sleepy, you go to bed first, I want to go out for a while. Fang Ye smiled, turned over and jumped out of the window. Well. Shu Manzi was stunned for a moment. When she realized it, she had already discovered that Fang Ye had disappeared. What happened? Shu Manzi was very confused, and then he felt happy, but after a while, he felt a trace of anger again. Lost. She sighed and looked out the window in a daze. Well, has it started? Fang Ye stood on the roof and looked at Kurosaki Ichigo's home. He clearly felt the aura of Kukaki Rukia. After a while, Kurosaki Ichigo and Kukaki Rukia rushed out, and the streets gradually the appearance of a hollow appeared. It was a huge monster wearing a mask. At this time, this hollow had already rushed towards Kurosaki Ichigo, and Rukia Kukaki pulled out her Zanpakuto Sode Shirayuki and tried to stop it. But it was not this. The virtual opponent was seriously injured and fell to the ground. The next step should be Kurosaki Ichigo becoming a Shinigami. It seems that the events so far are still proceeding according to the previous plot. Fang Ye had no intention of taking action. He watched quietly, waiting for the man in black robe. He believed that if the man in black robe would appear, now would be a good time. But until Kurosaki Ichigo succeeded, he became the god of death and defeated the hollow, but the man in black robe didn't even show up. Did I guess wrong? Fang Ye frowned slightly. Just when he was wondering, he saw that the Su who fell on the ground showed no signs of disappearing. Instead, there was an inexplicable aura emanating from him. He saw that the Su's body expanded instantly, and gradually, there were changes. His body was covered with all kinds of barbs, and even his mask became very ferocious. Roar! This hollow has actually evolved. And it is gradually becoming a god of death. How can this be? Fang Ye was shocked. He didn't expect it to be like this. The current virtual strength is very powerful, even dozens of times more powerful than before. And Kurosaki Ichigo, who had just become the god of death, was naturally no match for this virtual one. He was instantly fighting and retreating. Interesting, if I guess correctly, it must be the man in black robe who did it. Damn the agent of God. Fang Ye showed a smile, things finally became interesting. What happened? Kurosaki Ichigo shouted and asked Kukaki Rukia. And Kukaki Rukia had no idea what was going on, and she stayed there for a while. Damn it! Kurosaki Ichigo roared, rushed towards the hollow, and struck hard with the huge soul-cutting sword. But the hollow just raised his hand and knocked Kurosaki Ichigo away. Kurosaki Ichigo fell heavily to the ground. He tried to hold himself up and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Just one blow caused Ichigo Kurosaki to be severely injured. GG. The monster laughed twice and rushed towards Kurosaki Ichigo again. It coveted Kurosaki Ichigo's huge spiritual power and wanted to swallow him whole. No. Rukia Kukaki was shocked and struggled up, trying to stop the hollow. But suddenly a black figure appeared in front of her. It was a man wearing a black robe and a mask. Rukia Kukaki was shocked. For a moment, she thought of the mysterious Eastern Taoist priest Fang Ye she met at Urahara's store today. Isn't this black-robed man exactly the person he is looking for? Finally found you. The man in black robe sneered, stretched out his hand to grab Rukia Kukaki. At this time, all the spiritual power of Rukia Kukaki was sucked away by Ichigo Kurosaki, and she was also injured. She couldn't avoid it at all. When he was about to be caught, Fang Ye took action. Fang Ye flashed between Kukaki Rukia and the black-robed man. He looked at the black-robed man with a sneer and said lightly, actually, I also want to say, finally found you. It's you. Fang Ye. The man in black robe secretly gritted his teeth, his tone full of anger. Yes, it's me. Don't try to escape easily today. Flame. Fang Ye sneered, huge and blazing flames gathered in his hands, and then exploded violently. The man in black robe knew that his strength was not weak, but compared with Fang Ye, the gap was too obvious. He knew with Fang Ye, his operation would be considered a failure. Although he was a little reluctant, he had no choice but to quickly use teleportation to escape from the place. But at this time, Fang Ye had already caught up with him. The palm struck hard and knocked him to the ground. The man in black robe let out a miserable cry, half of his body became bloody, and his original appearance could hardly be seen clearly. He endured the pain, and only saw he waved his hand a few times. Fang Ye felt a sudden gust of wind behind him. When he turned around, he saw that Hollow had abandoned the half-dead Kurosaki Ichigo and rushed towards him. Humph, it turns out that the Su is your fault. A normal punch. Fang Ye punched out, and Saitama's powerful physique burst out instantly. Before the punch hit the Hollow, who was about to turn into a god of death, his body had already disintegrated. One punch. It only takes one punch to completely destroy this Hollow. Next to her, Rukia Kukiki was stunned. She had no idea that Fang Ye in front of her was so powerful. She had fought against the Su, so she naturally knew how powerful the Su was, but she didn't expect Fang Ye to be even more powerful. For a moment, she couldn't tell whether it was fantasy or reality. Now, tell me your identity and the secrets of your organization, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Fang Ye turned around and looked at the man in black robe and said. His voice was so cold and terrifying that it even made the man in black robe shudder. But after a moment, the man in black robe showed a hint of ridicule. Want to know what I am doing? Organization. Haha, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Then he took a deep breath and shouted, it's been so long, are you still ready to continue reading? Haha, actually I am really prepared to do this. This guy is so powerful. If the situation didn't force me, I really wouldn't want to be his enemy. A gentleman with short brown hair and black-rimmed glasses slowly walked over. He looked at Fang Ye and said with a smile, friend, can you give me some face and let this person go? After all, we were neighbors before. Aizen Sosuke. Fang Ye's pupils shrank and he couldn't help clenching his fists. It turned out that he was the innermost tenant before. No wonder having such a powerful power made him a little wary. He is the captain of the 5th division of the 13th division. Why do you want to help that man in black robe? Rukia Kukiki asked in surprise next to her. Haha, it's very simple, I want the Bengayu in you. Aizen Sosuke turned around and said softly. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 368. Sure enough, it seems that the core of the forbidden area this time is the Honyu on Rukia Kukiki. Fang Ye looked back at the confused Rukia Kukiki and thought to himself. Fang Ye has always had a doubt. Even after he watched Death God, he still had no solution to the mystery. That's when exactly Kisuke Urahara placed Anaku on Rukia Kukiki. At first, Fang Ye thought it was when Rukia Kukiki lost her spiritual power of death and Urahara Kisuke gave her a righteous body. But looking at the current progress, I am afraid that he has already put Bengayu on Kukiki Rukia. In the previous plot, Aizen Sosuke probably didn't know that the Honyu was in Rukia Kukiki, but because of this black-robed man, Aizen Sosuke knew the secret in advance. That's why he came here to observe Kurosaki Ichigo. It seems that the black-robed man's organization is also very familiar with the plot of the World of Death. Fang Ye licked his lips. He was now even more interested in the black-robed man's organization. What if I say no? Fang Ye looked at Aizen Monoyosuke and said with a chuckle. Then it will be a headache for me. Actually, I really don't want to fight you, but for the goal in my heart, there is nothing I can do about it. Aaron Sosuke said with a smile. But Fang Ye knew that this smile was not smiling at all, but very cold. Sword light. In an instant, A huge sword light slashed down towards Fang Ye, so fast that Fang Ye I didn't even see clearly what Aizen Sosuke did. Rise. Fang Ye activated his telekinesis and pressed the ground. He saw a huge earth wall rising up and appearing in front of him, trying to block the sword. But what surprised him was that the light of Aizen Sosuke's sword was devastating. The earth wall was easily broken through, and Xiao Fangyi, whose power remained unabated, continued to chop down the earth wall. This sword technique is too powerful. Fang Ye was shocked in his heart. He stamped his feet on the ground and his whole body rose into the air to avoid the knife. This Aizen Sosuke is really a powerful enemy. And Fang Ye also knows that this Aizen Sosuke this is not the case. If they really want to use their full strength, I am afraid it will take a long time for the two of them to decide the winner. And now Aizen Sosuke is so powerful, if he fuses with Bengaiwa, it will be okay. Fang Ye turned his head looking at Kurosaki Ichigo who was already unconscious. He sighed, grabbed Kurosaki Ichigo and threw it to Kukaki Rukia. Take him and go. I'll block it here. Kukaki Rukia took over Kurosaki Ichigo. At this moment, she also knew that staying here would not help, so she gritted her teeth and said to Fang Ye take care. After saying that, she hugged Kurosaki Ichigo and ran towards Urahara's store. Seeing this, the man in black robe was about to follow, but was stopped by Aizen Sosuke. He chuckled and said it won't be solved. Do you think you can leave this person in front of you? Then he turned around and looked at Fang Ye, without any smile on his face. Boy, I say it again, get out of the way. Fang Ye sneered and said, if you win, I will naturally get out of the way. Well, in that case, don't blame me for being rude. I saw Aizen Sosuke holding his soul-cutting sword Kyoka Suijutsu and chanting the incantation. Beast bones, spears, red crystals, and steel wheels are scattered all over the place. When they move, they are like wind, and when they are still, they are empty. The sound of spears hitting each other fills the virtual city. The 63 thunder roar cannons of breaking the way. A purple thunder light instantly struck Fang Ye. So fast. So strong. Fang Ye secretly thought. This is just a relatively common move of Aizen Soyujuk, but its power cannot be underestimated, and the huge power of thunder and lightning almost crushed the space. It seems that Aizen Sosuke still looks down on me a little. Fang Ye secretly sneered in his heart. If this is the case, then I will be a little more serious and let him know my true strength. A serious punch. The powerful fist wind carried a terrifying aura, and rushed towards the thunder cannon with a devastating momentum. This was an extremely terrifying punch based on Saitama's body. Bang bang bang. The two extremely powerful forces collided with each other, creating a huge shockwave that spread in all directions, causing the surrounding houses and trees to collapse. What? Aizen Sosuke was surprised. Although he knew that Fang Ye was very powerful, he didn't expect that this punch would be so abnormal. His thunder roar cannon was suppressed to the point where he was unable to fight back. Well, I didn't expect you to be so powerful, I'm really surprised. Aizen Sosuke praised while clapping his hands. If that's the case, then I won't hide it. Break it into pieces, mirror flowers, and water moon. I saw the tip of the soul-cutting sword in Aizen Sosuke's hand pointing downwards, and the blue light on the blade flashed, capturing the soul. Fang Ye felt that the surrounding scene suddenly became blurred, and his five senses seemed to be taken away by the soul-cutting sword. Same. Huh, you actually started to solve it directly. It seems that Aizen Sosuke is really serious about it, but I know your abilities very well. You can even memorize the ability to fuse with Bengaiwa, let alone your current moves? Fang Ye sneered. Although Aizen Sosuke is very strong, and his first moves are called bugs, and can hypnotize anyone who sees the soul-cutting sword, mirror flowers, water, and moon, but he has the Byakugan and the Haki of wisdom, which is exactly the nemesis of hypnosis. Roll your eyes. Seeing and hearing is domineering. The two abilities exerted themselves on each other, and this area was instantly sensed by Fang Ye. Now he is no longer affected by any hypnosis, and can strongly feel the aura of Sosuke Aizen. Haha, you have fallen into my trap, and I am afraid you have fallen into endless illusion. Aizen Sosuke looked at the motionless Fang Ye and said with a smile. But before he finished speaking, Fang Ye moved in an instant. In almost the blink of an eye, Fang Ye flashed to Aizen Sosuke. In front of me, I punched him in the chest. What? Caught off guard, Aizen Sosuke was shocked. He had no idea that Fang Ye had not fallen into his hypnosis. In a hurry, Aizen Sosuke hurriedly held Kyoka Suijutsu against his chest, blocking Fang Ye's attack. But Fang Ye's punch was almost full force, and the powerful impact instantly knocked Aizen Sosuke away. Haha, don't underestimate me, otherwise you will lose. Fang Ye looked at Aizen Sosuke and said calmly. Aizen Sosuke's glasses were shattered by the impact. He took off his glasses and looked down at his soul-cutting sword. At this time, the soul-cutting sword in his hand Daojing Hua Shui Yu actually shattered after withstanding this blow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 369. After the man in black robe saw this scene, he was completely stunned. He knew Aizen Sosuke's strength very well, but he was still no match for Fang Ye in front of him, and even his soul-cutting sword was broken. This was beyond his expectation. Also shocked was Aizen Soyujuk. You are the second person to shatter my soul-cutting sword, which really surprises me. Aizen Sosuke shook the broken knife in his hand, and saw that the originally broken Kyoka Suijutsu was repaired in an instant. It was as if it had never been broken, and it was as new as ever. I originally wanted to compete with you more, but now that I have accomplished my goal, there is no need to compete with you again. However, boy, I believe that one day we will compete again, and then I will show you my true power. After Aizen Sosuke finished speaking, he grabbed the man in black robe and gradually disappeared. Want to escape? Fang Ye rushed over in a hurry, but he was a step too slow and still allowed Aizen Sosuke and the man in black robes to escape. Damn it! This Aizen Sosuke is indeed difficult to deal with. Fang Ye looked at the place where they disappeared and said bitterly. To be honest, he was a little curious about what Yuzuki Aizen said at the end. What did he mean when he said that the goal was achieved? Could it be that Rukia Kukiki was out of touch? Is there a problem? Thinking of this, Fang Ye could no longer hold back and immediately ran towards the Urahara store. He knew that Rukia Kukiki and Ichigo Kurosaka must have gone to find Kisuke Urahara. Soon, Fang Ye arrived. Urahara's store, but when he arrived, he couldn't help but be surprised. He saw that Urahara Kisuke's store had long been destroyed, and Urahara Kisuke's subordinates, Glazed House Rain and Hinta, both fell to the ground and did not know whether they were alive or dead. Only Rukia Kukiki and woke up Ichigo Kurosaka was confronting a person. Fang Ye knew the identity of this person as soon as he saw it. It was the double agent Ikagen Maru. Where did you catch Urahara Kisuke? Also, why are you doing this? Kukiki Rukia asked loudly. Rukia, we are following Lord Aizen's order to capture Urahara Kisuke and take away the second Hondama he saved. Ikeyan Maru said with a smile as he squinted his eyes. Broken jade? Kukiki Rukia was a little confused. Although it was the second time she heard this term, she still didn't know what it was. Also, the black-robed man and Aizen-sama wanted to snatch the Bengyoku from her body. But why is this thing on her body? For a time, Kukiki Rukia had countless questions in her heart. She only felt that she had come to this world once, and everything became strange. Now that my goal has been achieved, It's time for me to leave. I think Tosin Kaname has handed over Urahara Kisuke and the Hogyaku in his body to Aizen-sama. Although I also know that you also have Bengaiu in your body, and to be honest, I really want it, but I can feel that the person next to you is too powerful, so I can only give up this plan. Ikijinmaru looked at Fangya and said warily. Fangya touched his nose and sighed slightly. Unexpectedly, when he came to the world of death, the whole plot began to go wrong. Originally, Ikijinmaru and Dongxian if Rukia Kukaki betrayed the Soul Society when she was executed, she didn't expect that the arrival of herself, the black-robed man and others would cause this matter to be greatly advanced. Even Urahara Kisuke and the collapse in his body, the Jade Capital was obtained by Aizen. The situation is very bad. Urahara Kisuke is the one who made the Jade. As long as Aizen gets him, he will continue to make the Jade and even improve it better. Moreover, Fangya, what I didn't expect was that Kisuke Urahara also had Honyu in his body. This was something that didn't happen in the Bleach plot. Things were getting weirder and weirder. And if Ikijinmaru in front of me remembered correctly, he should have wanted to assassinate Aoi. Sumison Yosuke was killed in a counterattack. Now that things have reached this point, he naturally refuses to stand idly by. You can't leave, I'm afraid you will die in the hands of Aizen Sosuke if you leave. Fangya said to Ichi Yun-wan. Oh? What do you mean? Ikijinmaru said with a frown. It's simple. Your plan won't work at all. It's better to come up with countermeasures with us. Fangya said. What? Ikijinmaru was shocked. He didn't expect that what he was thinking was actually known to the person in front of him. He had never told anyone. How did the person in front of him find out? He originally wanted to escape. Ikijinmaru was so shocked that he stayed there motionless for a long time without regaining consciousness. Alas, you won't understand even if I tell you too much now, so I'm sorry. Fangya dodged and came to the back of Iki Yun-wan, and punched Iki Yun-wan on the back of the head. You! Ikijinmaru's eyes turned white and he fainted. Hello! Come here and help me carry him. Fangya commanded Kurosaki Ichigo unceremoniously. Why should I listen to you? Although he never understood the situation, Kurosaki Ichigo just saw that Fangya was unhappy and retorted. Fangya sighed and immediately activated his telekinesis. Why is my body moving involuntarily? Kurosaki Ichigo was taken aback. He just felt that he had lost control of his body. He walked up to Ikijinmaru, then picked him up, and then stood behind Fangya. You come with me too. You are not very safe now and only I can guarantee your safety now. Fangya said to Kukaki Rukia. Although Kukaki Rukia had many questions, she knew that now was not the time to ask, so she nodded. She went to pick up Kaiyu and Hinta, followed behind Fangya. Without encountering any accidents along the way, Fangya returned to the room he rented smoothly. Shumanzi in the room was shocked. The small room was filled with people for a while, and there was no place to stand. Although there were various sounds of fighting outside the window, she was still relatively weak now, so she didn't dare to show her head. She could only hide here and wait anxiously for Fangya to come back. But Fangya, when I came back, there were 5 people behind me, and the room was no longer enough. Well, something was wrong. It seems that the rented house is a bit smaller. Forget it and make do with it. Fangya sighed. Things were developing and changing so fast that he had no time to deal with it. God, these are. Shumanzi could spot the school student Kurosaki Ichigo at a glance. She was a little curious why Fangya brought Kurosaki Ichigo back. Is this student very ordinary in the school? Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 370. It's Teacher Su. Is this stinky guy your boyfriend? Kurosaki Ichigo recognized Shumanzi. He looked at Fangya and then at Shumanzi, with an intriguing smile on his face. Ah! Shumanzi then realized that he was still a teacher in the school, and Fangye was the latest transfer student in the school. Doesn't this mean that the teacher and the student are in love? No, no. No. We are not what you think, we haven't had sex yet. Shumanzi's face turned red instantly. She hurriedly denied it, but she was suddenly afraid that she would say the wrong thing and make Fangye unhappy. She was a little incoherent for a moment and didn't even know what she was going to say. I see. Kurosaki Ichigo and Kukaki Rukia looked at each other, as if they understood something, and looked at Fangye and Shumanzi with more and more playful eyes. Ahem. All right. Kurosaki Ichigo, you and Rukia, go see your family and come back as soon as possible. We need to discuss countermeasures. And I am responsible for waking up these three people. Fangye hurriedly interrupted and said. Understood. Also, next time you want to control my body, don't blame me for being rude. Kurosaki Ichigo said a harsh word, then grabbed Rukia Kukaki's back and walked out of the room. Gone. Gossip girl. Hey hey. Kukaki Rukia reluctantly left the room. God, I didn't mean to say the wrong thing. Fangye looked at Shumanzi, who looked pitiful, and shook his head, saying, it's okay, you can guard the door for me and don't let anyone in. Okay, don't worry. Shumanzi nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, walked out of the room, and stood guard at the door. Fangye looked at Guwu and Jintai and sighed slightly in his heart. The injuries of the two were very serious. It seemed that they had been injured. Dongxian wanted to use the soul-cutting sword to clear the insect's wound. If he didn't treat it, his life might be in danger. And Fangye had a reason to save him. Originally Fangye planned to use Urahara Kisuk to enter Soul Society, but now Urahara Kisuk was taken away, so he only had two little guys to rely on. I hope they know where the boundary gate is and how to use it. After finishing speaking, Fangye began to treat the two little guys. The world crossing gate is a means of transportation for the god of death to come to the present world, or for the god of death to return to the soul society from the present world. Generally speaking, it is a huge door with two leaves. It starts to open when the god of death is about to pass through. And since the world transmitting gate can only allow souls to enter, if Fangye wants to enter soul society, he needs a specially made world transmitting gate. Roll your eyes. Fangye activated his eyes and instantly saw the injuries in the bodies of the two little guys. Tisk tisk, Dongxian is really cruel. The meridians all over these two little guys are almost severed. If I were a step too late, even the gods might not be able to save them. But luckily you have me. Fangye rolled his eyes and used his own mind power to start repairing the meridians on the two little guys. It took a full night, which made Fangye tired and sweaty, and finally he completed the treatment of the two little guys' injuries. Oh my god, I'm so exhausted. This trivial work is really not done by humans. Fang Ye wiped his sweat and said with a sigh of relief. As soon as he finished speaking, a slender knife suddenly stretched out from behind and was placed on his neck. Don't move around, or I'll shake my hand and make an opening in your neck. Ikagenmaru's voice came from behind. Haha, you're awake. I advise you to put the sword away. I don't like having a sword put to my neck. If you piss me off, you'll faint again. Fangye said with a chuckle. In fact, he knew from the beginning that Ikagenmaru had woken up. Although Ikagenmaru held the soul-cutting sword divine gun on his neck, he was still not afraid. Because although Ikagenmaru is very strong, but the gap between him and himself is too far, even Fangye can crush him to death with just one little finger. Stop talking. What did you mean when you said I would die at the hands of Lord Aizen? Ikagenmaru said sternly. Fangye clearly felt a trace of killing intent coming from behind. He could even believe that as long as he said something wrong, the knife would chop at his neck without hesitation. If I said I could read faces, would you believe it? Look at faces. Iki Yunwan is a little confused. Of course, I am a Taoist priest from the east, and I am best at counting with my fingers, and I see that your yintang is black and you are in danger of a bloody disaster. If I want to be more specific, if you don't listen to me, you will definitely die in Aizen's hands. Fang Ye turned his head, looked at Iki Yunwan and said with a smile. I think you are looking for death. Iki Yunmeru was furious, and the magic gun in his hand slashed Fang Ye's neck instantly. But what surprised him was that when the soul-cutting sword in his hand was less than 1 centimeter away, it could no longer cut. Got it? What exactly is going on? Iki Yunmeru was shocked. He found that his body was out of control. No matter how hard he tried, the soul-cutting sword in his hand could no longer move forward, not even by a millimeter. Haha, let's make it clear. The gap between you and me is too obvious, you are no match for me at all. If you can't even defeat me, how can you kill Aizen Sosuke? Fang Ye said with a smile. I know that your intention is to assassinate Aizen Sosuke for Rangiku, but you are like a moth flying into a flame, and there is no meaning other than sacrificing it in vain. Might as well enter Soul Society with us. Thwarting Aizen Sosuke's conspiracy, this is what you should do. What? How did you know? Ikijinmaru was really shocked this time, even more horrified. This was the biggest secret in his heart, and he didn't expect that this person would know it. Who are you? Why do you know this? Haha, I should have said it before, I am Fang Ye, a Taoist priest from the east. Fortune telling. Of course I know. Fang Ye said with a smile, and he also untied the mental restraints on Iki Yunmeru. You've been following Aizen Sosuke for quite some time, right? You should see how powerful he is. Do you really think you can kill Sosuke Aizen just by taking him by surprise? Ikijinmaru slowly put down the soul-cutting sword in his hand, feeling powerless. The longer he stayed with Aizen Sosuke, the more he understood how terrifying Aizen Sosuke was. This man was the strongest. It's not his moves or martial arts skills, but his ingenuity. Sometimes Ikijinmaru even feels that Sosuke Aizen already knows his thoughts and wants to assassinate him. Yes, the longer I followed him, the more scared I became, and I disguised myself like a snake hiding in the grass. But I always have a feeling that that man has already seen through my thoughts. Maybe he never killed me just because I was still useful. Don't worry, follow me, I will make you get what you want. You know, I was the one who fought off Aizen Sosuke, the soul-cutting sword Kyoka Suijutsu in his hand was also shattered by me. Fang Ye couldn't help but start to show off, even though he was telling the truth.